minus 11 o'clock. That's how early it is. It's minus 11 this morning, and it is 6:35 a.m. A little bit later than I wanted because I probably wasn't as prepared as I should have been last night. So I'm heading out to ultimately to Tunnel View. There's going to be thousands of people there even at this time in the morning, so I'm not looking forward to that. But prior to going there, there's a few stops on the way that I'm perhaps going to have a look at. Today's more of a recce mission really, just to see and scout some areas and see if I can find anything that is good to shoot in my tomorrow morning. So yeah, it's going to be good. I'm tired, but there might be a little bit of cloud in the sky, not a huge amount. There's probably mist in the valley, which should look pretty good. And yeah, looking forward to it. Okay, well, I've just parked at El Cap Meadow, and I went up to Tunnel View, and there was about 100 photographers. And I actually don't think it's going to be that good really. There's no clouds. So what I'm going to try and do, there's some trees over here, which I'll show you in a minute, and I'm going to go set up over there. Hopefully get some reflected light off these rocks when the sun comes up, and it's going to be good. It's cold. It's really cold. Extra batteries, always required in the cold. It's amazing how quickly you can get through batteries. I'm thinking of leaving, man. So whilst I'm walking over here, I thought I'd mention a little bit about what got me into photography was probably Ansel Adams, so I'm probably in the place I should be, as I spoke about earlier. But what really got me into vlogging and wanting to do videos was actually photography as well. And I first started watching luminous landscape videos. I got them on DVD, I subscribed to them before I even YouTube was probably around, but I probably didn't watch it that much. And yeah, Michael from Luminous Landscape, who so kindly was taken recently, really got me into them. His tone of voice and ability to get everybody excited about the landscape was just amazing. And then more recently I've got into YouTube and watching vloggers, not just from photography but also about tech. And I think sometimes you just have to do different things, and I do a lot of photography, so why not vlog about it? Hopefully everyone finds these useful and interesting. Well, probably not useful, but at least interesting. And yeah, share my journey of taking some shots in amazing landscape like this. Incredible. It really is an incredible morning. And cold. Very, very cold. So, when you pack your camera in the morning, make sure you get your battery. Just open mine. No battery. It's not a good feeling. Luckily I have a spare. Please work. Please be charged. Okay, I found a pretty good composition here. It's fairly simple. So I walked around and looked in that direction, and it looks pretty good. The moon's there, but it's really difficult. I hate photographing the moon. I never do a very good job of it. It always looks a huge amount smaller when you take it than it does when you're looking at it. But actually what I found is these trees that are covered in snow, which just look absolutely amazing. So I've just got the bottom of the trees lined up in the exposure, and and the higher sort of pine or redwood trees going up into the rock. There's no light at all on at the moment, so it's a fairly easy exposure. I've got it at the lowest ISO I can, 35mm and f6 to get it as sharp as I can. It just looks absolutely fantastic. So I've now ventured over to the south side of the Merced River. The sun's now fully up and shining on the amazing El Capitan. I'm hoping on this bend in the river here to be able to get a reflection of El Capitan and maybe get some slow shots of the river. I just love it here. It's just such a great place. Just wandering through the woods to see if I can find a composition anywhere. Not sure we're going to be quite far enough round to get El Capitan, which is a shame. So maybe I have to find somewhere else. Okay, I found a really great place to take El Capitan. I'm going to have to do it from the bank though, because as you can see, there's a massive drop. So maybe I can set up here. So I've been trying to photograph El Capitan, and one of the problems is that getting an exposure for the river and El Capitan, even just after sunrise, is so difficult to do. So I've tried to find other compositions that don't include El Capitan. I mean, I can use a ND filter, graduated ND filter, but the problem is with the graduated ND filter is that El Capitan looks a bit like that, and we can't get a graduated ND filter to do that. So what I have found is a really great sort of S-bend in the river here. There's really fantastic reflected light off the mountains up there, and I suppose the top tip really is sometimes try and find the shade areas, because sometimes the shade areas have lots of really good reflected light and it's much easier to control the exposure. So what I've tried to do is make a composition through the trees. It's really difficult to stand around here, so if I just sort of try and walk down to my tripod now without falling down the hill into the river, then I'll go through my setup. So you can see the composition here. I've got the S-bend, this tree just leaning over, great reflected light on the river, and then I've tried it with a horizontal and a vertical composition. The vertical composition looks best. It was 1/8 of a second at f8, and I've then put a 10D neutral density filter on, and that gives me 2 minutes at f8. Make sure the tripod's steady when you're using an ND filter, because any small shake and you'll get a blurred picture. And the whole idea is to get the stream running through and the blurred effect of the stream running through, so it leads your eye through the picture right down to the golden glow in the far distance. And this tree just leaning over makes such a big difference to it. Okay, so I've been walking around later on today. I've come across a frozen patch of ground which I think might make quite a good shot. Sometimes it's, you know, obviously if I just look around there and behind me, you can probably see El Capitan. That's an obvious shot, but what actually El Capitan's doing is providing an amazing golden reflector of reflected light onto all the landscape, and that's just creating some really, really nice light. And I've found a puddle here, pond, stream, and I've found a stream here that's frozen, and the ice has just produced some really interesting patterns. So what I'm trying to do is try and get a shot of it. So I've got my camera set up here, pointing straight down, and hopefully you can have a look. It should look pretty good. Just a quick shot, and one of the amazing things in Yosemite National Park. So that's been my first vlogging experience. What a great place to do it in Yosemite. I wanted to talk a little bit more about what I do with my photos when I've finished a photographic trip like that. And the thing is that I always used to do things in the darkroom, so printing is just something that I'm really quite passionate about. I've had an exhibition with my photos. I've always printed out my photos and put them on the wall. And I think, you know, there's got to be an output to what you do, whether you share them on the web or put them on the wall. But I really like the feeling of, and if I just have a look at some of the photos I've printed out, here's some that I didn't vlog about, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. I really like the feeling of the prints, you know, the tactile feeling that you get when you've taken a photo and managed to print it out. I think it's just absolutely fantastic. This was one I did, sunset from tunnel view. I didn't vlog about it. There was probably 100 people there every time I went, and to be honest, I felt uncomfortable. So I just wanted to be able to go there, take some photos, and then probably talk a little bit more about them now in Lightroom. The first thing I do when I get back from a trip is go through the photos and decide on which ones I should flag, and then I tend to rank those ones that I've flagged. So I would go through them, I would check for exposure, check that I've not clipped any highlights or shadows. I would ensure that the picture is sharp. I'd always zoom in on it and check that the picture's sharp, and I'd also check that I haven't cropped anything out. Those three things I should have got right when I took the photo, but occasionally I don't. Occasionally that I've missed something or not got something correct. I would then go, and once I've chosen the images that I want to edit, I would then go and look at those images. So I could go and filter for those images, and then if we take a look at this image here, which was actually an image that I took on the way home from Yosemite. Most of the times I try and plan an image. I know where I'm going to go. I scout the area out first, but sometimes there is an opportunity to take an image just in that moment. And this was exactly that. The sun shone through. It was a late evening sun that shone through onto the leaves, and the oak leaves on the trees just stood out against the background. It was just an amazing shot. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of my vlogging gear on me, so I couldn't talk about how I took that shot. I set up a tripod, and we can have a look at the details of that particular image. It was shot at 1/125th of a second, f6.3, 50mm at ISO 64 on my 24-70mm f2.8 lens on my D800. So then the thing on this image that I've done, if I go into the develop module, and we can see what it was like before and after. So on the left, this was before I edited it. This is after I edited it. On this particular image, I brought out some of the shadows slightly. I didn't really do a huge amount more.
The white balance was about right. I don't think I changed that. I might have just made it a little bit cooler. And I did a slight curve again to increase some of the shadow detail. I increased the saturation, but particularly increased the saturation of the oranges in the photo, so that I got these oak leaves to really stand out. These vivid oak leaves were amazing. And if we have a look at the print, then we can see that there really is an amazing contrast between those orange leaves and the granite face and the white tones within the photo. So I was really pleased with this. And that's it with Lightroom. When I print the images, again, it's fairly simple really. I go into the print module, I check my page setup, make sure I've got the settings right for the size of the image. And then at the bottom of the print module, you can see these settings here. I always have it set on a print resolution of 300 ppi. I think when it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference that you shouldn't go below about 240 ppi, but 300 ppi. The print sharpening is standard. This was printed on Canson Infinity Baryta Photographique. So I had the media time set as glossy according to their instructions. I downloaded their profile, which is really, really important. You must download the profile for the paper that you're printing on. It's just imperative that you do that. And then followed their settings, which was the intent was relative. And then the printer settings were set at premium, photo, semi-gloss, and 440 DPI. So if we just have a look at some of these photos now. So this is the amazing Yosemite Valley from tunnel view. Literally whatever time of day you go, there's going to be lots of people here. This shot, I tried to get the exposure so the falls were just slightly blurred. I didn't want to overexpose the falls, so I brought up some of the shadows afterwards in Lightroom. I did have a neutral density grad filter. It was a soft edge grad because obviously you've got a lot of undulating mountain range here. We were lucky because we had the clouds. This shot without these clouds is just very plain and bland. And I think it's the snow on the mountains and the rock faces here, the sort of mist that started to form at sunset in the valley, and obviously the golden glow on El Capitan, along with the clouds, which makes this shot for me. It was a shame I couldn't do a vlog about it, but I'm really pleased with the print. So another image that I really like is this one. It's a very pastel image, and it was actually a point in my first video. I shot through the trees here, but as I was walking there, I took this shot with my Fuji X-T2, which is something I use just to take probably quick shots. I don't often put it on a tripod, and this was exactly one of those shots. It's a shot that wasn't taken on a tripod. The rays coming through the sun were just amazing. And I tried to make sure, this is what it looked like to me when I saw the image, and I tried to make sure that I've not taken the blacks too far, so it remains very bright and mysterious as it was when I took the shot. So yeah, it's great to look at these images and spend the time printing them out, and a lot of these will end up on the wall, I'm sure. It's something that I really get a lot of satisfaction from, and I'm looking forward to going to Yosemite again. Thanks so much for watching my video of Yosemite and my vlog through my photography over the last few days. I really had a great time here. Winter is such an amazing place in Yosemite. Please comment below, like it, and if you like what I've done in this first vlog, then please subscribe. Thank you.